The New Orleans Pelicans come into Gotham City and spank the New York Knicks by the score of 115-92, and I'm here to break it all down. All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel from Knicks Digest, and let's get into my takeaways from the game tonight. So first and foremost, I was watching the pregame show. I'm watching Rebecca Harlow talk to Wally and talk to, I forgot the other dude. It wasn't Bill Pito. I forgot the other guy's name. But all of a sudden, Rebecca Harlow says that there's going to be two major players that played in last night's game going to be out for the game tonight. I kind of figured it was going to be Isaiah Hartenstein because for the last month and a half, he's been dealing with like a left Achilles issue where it's been sore. So he played, I believe it was like 21 minutes, and he's been on a minutes restriction. So I kind of figured he wasn't going to play tonight. But then Rebecca Harlow says that Jalen Brunson is dealing with neck spasms. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, we're catching an L tonight. And of course, last night after the win against the Detroit Pistons, I go on a 5 upcoming game schedule with the Knicks and what it looks like. And I was saying how if Brunson is playing, we have a shot. It could be a W. We never know. But with Jalen Brunson not playing, I absolutely know that we did not have a shot. So what does it mean for the rest of the players? It means that Deuce was going to be inserted into the starting point guard position, which he was. And I mean, overall, Deuce had an okay game. He ended the game with 10 points, 3 of 11 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, converting both of his free throws, ending the game with 8 assists and 3 rebounds. Man, I'm not even sure who I would give the MVP of this game to, because I was talking to Chris in the group chat, and the first thing that Chris said, unfortunately he wasn't able to make it to tonight's game, obviously, but the first thing that Chris said is that the offense kind of figured out that Dante, when Brunson's not in the game, obviously Randall's out, OG's out, so like with all those players out, Chris said that the opposing team figured out that Dante is going to be the number one option, and they kind of like did their best to shut him down. Now, Dante still had a really good game. He had ended the game with 23 points, 8 of 21 from the field. Not great. 7 of 18 from 3, which isn't terrible. Could be better. Both field goal and 3-point field goal. Ended the game with 2 assists and 4 rebounds. All in all, the offense just looks super, super sloppy. You got Josh Hart creating plays for his own. You got Deuce trying to make plays for his own. You got Jericho Sims not being able to catch the ball. In the group chat, I sent a message and I was like over under on Jericho Sims mishandled passes, and I think I put 4 or 4.5. And the first half, I believe he had 2 or 3 alone. And the second half, I can't really remember. But man, we're already down Julius Randle. We're already down OG Anunoby. We're already down Mitch. And then on top of that, now the Jalen Brunson injury is neck spasms, so it looks like he might be able to go in the next game, which is going to be the Golden State Warriors, I believe. Or he might miss the next game, but it's not going to be anything that Knicks fans have to be worried about. It's something that Jalen Brunson might miss one more game, or he might be back for the next game. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. But again, as soon as I heard that Jalen Brunson is not going to be part of this game tonight, I kind of figured that Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, Herb Jones, I knew they were going to end up with a W. Now, I will commend the players that did play tonight. I will commend them and say that you can tell that they were trying. They were trying really hard, which all Knicks fans we're going to respect, we're going to cheer for, because all we want to see our players play hard. We don't care that Jalen Brunson is not playing. Obviously, Randall, OG, Mitch. We just want to see the players that are on the court. We want to see you try. If we see you that you're not trying, you will get booed. Like many players that have played for the Knicks have experienced. If you're not trying hard, we will boo you. But just the overall talent, Zion Williamson alone was just more talented than anybody on the floor that the Knicks had. Now, something else I noticed regarding one of the players that we actually got in the trade, and I'm not talking about Bogey. I'm talking about Alec Burks. I had a gripe with him with his first stint with the Knicks. And my biggest gripe with him was that, when are we going to get some consistency out of you? Are you a good shooter or not? And then tonight, ended the game with 1 bucket. Ended the game with 2 points, 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. We're not depending on you to hit threes, obviously, but we are depending on you to give us some sort of stability. And again, like I said, even during his first stint with the Knicks, back in, I believe, when we lost to the Atlanta Hawks in the first round, that whole season, I just wasn't really a big fan because I just didn't like the consistency he was showing us with his shooting. He'd have good games. Obviously, he'd had bad games up and down. But overall, just the consistency of his shooting and like the amount of his conversion of his shots, like I was never really a big fan. And tonight was just another example of how I'm looking at Alec Burks play and I'm like, yo, dude, like, can you give me some sort of consistency, especially with Jalen Brunson and Randall not being in the game? Not even OG. Like, OG is not really a huge offensive weapon, but those three players are out of the game. We just traded for you. Like, we need you to be ultra aggressive. You and Bogey needed to be ultra aggressive and show us what you got. And Bogey had a better game than Burks. He ended the game with 20 points, 6 of 14 from the field, 4 of 10 from three-point, 40%, which isn't bad, converting 4 of his free throws. So Bogey unquestionably had a better game than Alec Burks. But Alec Burks, like, I don't know, man. This is all going to come down to the playoffs. Chris and I keep talking about the Jalen Brunson minutes when he goes to the bench. It looks like the Knicks are going to attack the Jalen Brunson minutes when he's on the bench as a group collective effort. Alec Burks is going to take point. Deuce is going to take point. Josh Hart might take point. So it's not going to be one specific player that's going to take over the role. Even saying that, Alec Burks being part of the collective effort that's going to take over the Jalen Brunson minutes when he's on the bench in the playoffs, I'm not sure I'm confident, man. Like, I'm not sure if I'm confident in Alec Burks. Like, he did it. The first thing with the Knicks wasn't great. Yeah, he was part of the group that got us to the playoffs. Great, 2 claps. But we ended up losing to the Atlanta Hawks in the first round. Now, it's more of the same with Alec Burks. I don't know what we're going to get with him in the playoffs. He might show up and he might help us win a game or two. We don't know. But as far as right now, from what I see from Alec Burks, that's something I got to keep my eye on. Someone who's taking advantage of the Julius Randle minutes right now, of course, I'm talking about Precious Achiuwa, ending the game with 15 points, 4 of 10 from the field, not great, 0 of 3 from 3, converting 7 of his 8 free throws, ending the game with 2 assists and 7 rebounds. I don't know, man. I feel like every post-game video I'm talking about Precious and how much I want to see more of him. Maybe this is just the type of player that he is. And I like seeing him be aggressive, but even when he's being aggressive, it looks like he's traveling most of the time. I feel like there were a couple of calls right there that the refs didn't make, that he was traveling, where they ended up giving him a foul call, or they just let the play continue and he ended up scoring. So I don't know, man. Maybe this is just who Precious is, and us as Knicks fans, we got to get used to it. Overall, I do feel like this game, it actually said more about the New Orleans Pelicans than it actually did about the Knicks. This isn't a Pelicans Digest channel, obviously. It's a Knicks channel. But the Pelicans, this should have been a blowout game, like from the rip. And the Knicks didn't. The Knicks were in the game up until like halfway through the 8-minute mark in the fourth quarter, or maybe 6 minutes. Like the New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson. I mean, Brandon Ingram did roll his ankle, so he was out for a little bit. But with Zion alone, like they should have blown the game out. They had most of their bodies, and the Knicks, we had all of our major players were pretty much out. And on the Knicks side, with Brunson, Randall, Mitch, OG, Isaiah Hartenstein, with all those players out, we still gave a good effort. Commend the effort, like I said earlier in the video. But I also want to take a look into not the rest of the schedule, but I want to take a look at the next maybe 10 games. So Thursday, we're going to be hosting Golden State, Cleveland, Atlanta, Orlando, Philly twice in a back-to-back, Portland, Sacramento, Golden State, and Denver. Now, again, it depends on the bodies that we have available. I'm looking at the standings right now, and the Knicks, we're at 4th place with a record of 35-24. 5th place right underneath us is the Philadelphia 76ers with a record of 33-25. Philly's only a game and a half back of the 4th seed. But if we don't have our bodies, man, oh man, I don't know. I don't like the schedule that we have in front of us. I mean, Golden State looks like they're figuring stuff out right now. Steve Kerr putting Clay on the bench, and Clay's, I believe he had a 35-point game the other night, so it looks like he's finally getting his rhythm. Cleveland, they're when Darius Garland and Evan Mobley went out with the injuries, everybody wrote them off, but they ended up winning 18 games out of the next 20. Even though I took a look at their schedule during those 20 games, a lot of those games were against the Washington Wizards, the Spurs, the Pistons. They had a few good wins in there. The Milwaukee Bucks, I believe Orlando was in there as well. But Cleveland is playing well. Atlanta, yeah, they're having a bit of a disappointing season, but, Trae Young can always go off. Orlando is a young and up-and-coming team. They're hungry. They want to get into the play-in/playoff. The two Philadelphia 76er games that we have back to back, I mean, Embiid, it looks like he's not going to be playing in those games. So both of them could be wins, or we could lose both of them. Portland is a young up-and-coming team. They really don't have any direction right now. Sacramento's in the playoffs right now. They're tough. Golden State, we just talked about. Denver is the reigning champions. Like, man, the next 10 games is, depending on the bodies we have. If Brunson doesn't play in the next game against Golden State, that's an L. But if he does play, it could be a W. It's really hard for me. It's really hard for me to give a good analysis and a good prediction as to what our record is going to be in the next 10 games when I don't even know who's going to be playing. Hartenstein didn't play tonight with a left Achilles soreness. So what if that lingers on and he misses more games? Brunson, again, I keep saying that he missed tonight's game with some neck spasms. So that doesn't sound anything too serious. He might miss 1 or 2 more games, if that. But you never know. He might be coming back the next game against the Golden State Warriors. And if he does come back, I'm still taking the Knicks because Brunson right now is having a better season than Steph Curry. Brunson right now is the best, in my opinion, the best point guard in the East, and he's in the conversation for top 3 point guards in the league. But the rest of the players, Randall's not coming back until closer to the playoffs. Mitch is not coming back until closer to the playoffs. OG Anunoby is going to be another 2 to 3 weeks until he's going to be evaluated to see when he could come back. I'm just saying, man, looking at the standings, it could get scary. If Brunson misses a few games and Hartenstein keeps missing a few games, we could be dropping in the standings. It's going to be difficult, man. Hopefully, the news on Brunson and Hartenstein, specifically those two, hopefully we get some good news sooner than later, because if we keep falling in the standings, it's not going to look good for us. We know that Randall, Mitch, and OG, they're going to be out for quite some time. More so Mitch and Randall. OG is probably going to be like 2 to 3 weeks, like I just said. But we got to be careful, man. We got to be careful. But that's it for today's video, guys. I want to say thank you for checking it out. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the Knicks' effort tonight against the Pelicans. And are you guys worried about the Jalen Brunson neck spasm injury? Or if you think it's just maybe he's going to miss 1 game or 2 games, let me know in the comments. But until next time, guys, I want to say thank you for checking out tonight's video. Always Jalen Brunson for all the MVPs. You know Taj Gibson for president. And we out. Knicks, baby. Peace.